Fire sale, fire sale, fire sale. Guys, it's bound to happen. Listen, when you spend as much money as Todd B and Chelsea has spent over the last two windows, you're gonna have to let some guys go to balance the books for FFP purposes. Before I continue with this juicy news, please subscribe to my channel for daily Chelsea update. Guys, the fire sale is on. Um, the most likely players as of right now, possibly moving this window, appears to be Hakim Ziyech and possibly, although still a bit of a long shot, but possibly Connor Gallagher. Let's start with Hakim. Well, obviously, unless you've been sleeping under a rock, you would have noticed that Chelsea brought in three high-profile, attackers in the names of João Felix, Mikhailo Mudryk, and Nani Madueke. And so those three players are definitely going to put a squeeze on playing time in the attacking roles at Chelsea FC. This season, as it is, Ziyech has only played about 424 minutes of league, football, and that's really not a lot of football. And really, most of those minutes he played pretty much after returning to the club from the World Cup. So prior to the World Cup, Ziyech, if you all recall, since the hire of Graham Potter before the World Cup, Ziyech barely even got on the field. So it's understandable that Ziyech would be open for a move. Now, keep in mind that Ziyech did cost Chelsea somewhere around 33 million pounds some few years ago when they bought him from Ajax FC from the Dutch league. Um, so um, the club Chelsea would definitely like to recoup some of that money. And currently, the two main teams that are in line for his signature are Newcastle and Everton. Um, so of those two clubs, obviously Chelsea would probably more willing to do a deal with Everton because they don't want to strengthen Newcastle, which is one of the clubs that's currently occupying one of those coveted top four roles, top four positions for Champions League qualification uh, next season. So Chelsea, look towards Chelsea to try and do a deal, hopefully with Everton over as opposed to Newcastle. But regardless, as they say, money talks, and you know what walks. So it's gonna be about who has the bread, and between Newcastle and Everton, you all already know that Newcastle is owned by Saudi Arabian investors. So that's oil Arab money there. So I mean that's most likely where the bigger bid will probably come from. If I'm just gonna go ahead and take a wild guess. So let's keep an eye open on that. Um, and then also, the other consideration that's pushing this move is the fact that in order for Chelsea to register all these new wingers and including our defender Badashil for our upcoming Champions League game against Dortmund. Um, as it stands right now, Chelsea needs to reduce our Champions League roster by two players. So in order to accommodate all these new boys that have been signed. Otherwise, um, one or more of these new signings is not going to be able to play for Chelsea in Champions League. So for that reason, that's another reason why Chelsea needs to shed its squad hopefully this window by at least two players, so that they can make room for Champions League games for these new players that the club just bought. Then the second player that is currently on the chopping block is possibly Connor Gallagher. Now, I mean, the young man really hasn't done much wrong. It's just that um, he's obviously always left it all out on the field. For me, you know what you're gonna get from Gallagher. He's going to bleed blue every single time. He's going to leave all of his sweat, all his energy on the field. He's going to run tirelessly for his boyhood club, Chelsea. However, that said, at this current moment of Gallagher's development, he's a little bit below requirements for what Chelsea needs at this time. And not just that, really. If we're being honest, it's going to be tough, right? Um, for Chelsea to hold on to both Mason Mount and Gallagher, and notwithstanding the fact that Mason Mount is going through a bit of a rough patch. Right now the fan base is on his butt, criticizing Mount every other game, or if not every game. The reality is that Mount is quality. That's the reality, and he's proven at the highest level. So between if the club had and both Mount and Gallagher are similar in age. I believe Gallagher might just be 1 or 2 years younger than Mount. So they're pretty much age mates. So the actual reality is, let's be real here, guys. It's gonna be tough for Chelsea to hold on to both Mason Mount and Gallagher, and still keep in mind that Chelsea still needs to is still looking to buy another mid fielder, and so that is gonna put a cramp on Gallagher's time on the club. So for that reason, I mean, this it's he's candidate to be sold. Not happily, the club doesn't really want to sell him, but the club is at a point where right now somebody gonna have to be sold, and as it is right now, both Crystal Palace and again Castle, these two clubs, want him badly. Obviously, Crystal Palace wants Gallagher badly because last season Gallagher was Crystal Palace's player of the season. He scored 8 goals and had 3 assists in the league alone. So that's massive output for a central mid fielder, right? And so they want him and they need him. And ever since he's left their team, it's pretty obvious that Crystal Palace and Patrick Vieira, that's the manager of Crystal Palace, they've felt his absence, and the players that they brought in to replace that void haven't been able to help Crystal Palace to kick on. So I would expect Palace to make a move Now Chelsea is not in any mood to do any loan deals for Gallagher. He's either you're going to pay up or you're going to keep it moving. And based on reports, a fee somewhere in the region of 35 million to 40 million pounds is a fee that the club might be willing to accept. Now, if you ask me, guys, based on the way that we've been fleeced by the likes of Brighton, 35 to 40 million pounds for midfielder of Gallagher's experience. The games he played in the Premier League. He's had a few uh, uh, call ups for the England national team, and in fact, he was part of the England national team for the World Cup that was just concluded in Qatar. So I mean, this player should be worth way, way, way more than 50 or even 60 million plus easily. So it remains to be seen if New Castle wants Gallagher really bad, and they're gonna have to pony up. Hopefully, for me, hopefully they're gonna pony up more than 50 plus million. Uh, Crystal, Palace, they're not really, they don't have that kind of financial muscle. So I can see if a deal is done with a CP, um, a CP deal, Crystal Palace deal, if any, is reached, will likely be somewhere closer to that 35 million to 40 million pound range because, as I mentioned, they're not as financially uh, sound as new, Castle. So, guys, how do y'all feel about these two players possibly leaving Chelsea this January window? Please comment below, like this video, share, and subscribe to my channel. Take care. God bless you all. Peace.